I have turned the worst cards in Magic's history blue. Why? Because it's the best color. What's good, everyone? My name is Basics, and I dilly dabble in Photoshop, and I flippin' love Magic the Gathering. So I decided to do a little bit of both in this video. I took the worst card in the whole of Magic's history, and I turned them into the best color, making them the best card in the best of ways through Photoshop. Let me give you an example. I've taken maybe one of the worst cards in Magic's history, Wood Elemental, a 4-mana star where star in the lower right corner is set to the number of untapped forests you sacrifice. This card is not only a 4-mana 0/0, but you have to sacrifice untapped forests when it comes into play. This card cannot get any worse. But through the power of Photoshop, I have turned it into Good Elemental. A 2-mana elemental where its power is equal to the number of tapped islands you control, and its toughness is equal to +1 that, because otherwise it'd die in the untap step. And when it enters the battlefield, tap any number of untapped islands you control. Draw cards equal to the number of islands tapped this way. On its worst, it's a 2-mana 2/3 on turn 2. On its best, it's a 3-mana 3/4 that cycles you a card. It's absolutely insane. But this is the whole spiel of it. I've taken the worst cards in history and I've changed them blue to make them the best cards in history. Now throughout the video, if you have any ideas of turning the worst cards into the best cards, please do tell me. I'd love to help. I'd love to Photoshop, and well, let me show you what I've created. Getting off with possibly the worst Planeswalker ever printed, Tibalt the Fiend Blooded. Now this card does have a little bit of a special place in my heart, because as you can see, I actually have a Japanese one of these bad boys. But doesn't mean it's good, just means it's in my folder, along with a couple of ornithopters. I won't read them out to you, you can read them yourself. But what I've done is I've changed Tibalt the Fiend Blooded into, well, Tibalt the Blue Blooded. A 2-mana 2 loyalty Tibalt with +1, draw a card, then discard a card. -2, return target creature and opponent controls to their owner's hand. And -5, exchange control of all creatures you control with target opponents until end of turn. Untap them, they gain haste until the end turn. Now in this series, I haven't tried to make them so overpoweredly Oko busted. I've just tried to make a Planeswalker that's playable with a +1 that's equal to about the amount of a 2-mana creature. It's -2 if they use it immediately, it dies, and it's -5, while not game winning, does put a bit of blue into the insurrection effect the old Tibalt had. Moving on from the Tibalt, we have Alabaster Leech, a 1-mana 1/3 with white spells you play cost a white mortar card. Playing this card on turn 1 sucks. Playing this card on turn 7 sucks. Giving your opponents this card also sucks because it's only white spells. So there's really nothing good with this card. So how about we change the worst 1-drop in history to it's still Alabaster Leech, but it's blue now. 1-mana 1/3 Leech. Whenever it blocks, add blue to your mana pool. That mana doesn't empty as steps and phases in. Do you hate Vagavan? Do you hate Dark Confident? Do you hate Llanowar Elves, Arbor Elves, all these 1 toughness crazy scary creatures in Modern? Well, the Leech has got you covered. Don't be surprised if this card shows up in Modern Horizon 3. Just to, you know, sell more products. Speaking of overpowered cards, we have Mudhole, a 3-mana red instant that removes all land cards from target player's graveyard. Apocalypse, you had a great idea, but I just don't think this is good enough. For 3 mana, what are you gonna do? Remove all of the land cards from the Gitrog monsters deck, even though he's already drawn cards? I don't, maybe in response to a Splendid Reclamation, this card's good. This card also has a secret layer, if you didn't notice. This card also has a, imagine buying a secret layer and getting Mudhole. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. What have I turned Mudhole into? Well, it's still Mudhole, but it's blue. A 2-mana blue instant. Remove all land cards from target opponent's graveyard. For each card removed this way, draw a card. This card could be your angel, or this card could be your devil. If you think about it, in a normal game of Magic, an opponent might have 1 to 2 land cards in their graveyard. On a very special occasion, it'll have 4 to 5, but in a lot of cases, this is just a normal draw spell with a bit of an upside. Sometimes it doesn't even have an upside, and it's just 2-mana exile your graveyard, which in response isn't amazing. And at instant speed, I think it could be worse. I think it could, I don't know if it could be better. It's better than the original Mudhole. probably because it's blue. There are also some horrendous lands printed all the way throughout Magic, and the worst one has to be Sorrow's Path, a land that doesn't even tap for mana, but it does have an ability. Tap, exchange 2 opponents blocking creatures. This exchange may not cause an illegal block. Sorrow's Path deals 2 damage to you and 2 damage to each creature you control whenever it's tapped. This card can be a little difficult to understand, so let me break it down for you. If you were attacking with a Vagavan and a Monastery Swiftspear, and your opponent blocked your Vagavan with your Alabaster Leech and your Swiftspear with a Memnite, now what you would do is you tap the Sorrow's Path to exchange it so the Memnite was blocking the Vagavan and the Alabaster Leech was blocking the Monastery Swiftspear. Of course, this still kills your Vagavan, but there's still a twist! Because once you tap the Sorrow's Path, it's gonna Pyroclasm your entire board. So your Vagavan and your Monastery Swiftspear are still gonna die. How can it be better? Well, what if it was blue? Sorrow's Reversal. It comes into play tapped. You can tap it to add a blue to your mana pool. It's already looking great. And you can tap it to exchange control of target attacking creature you control with target blocking creature and opponent controls until end of turn. I was actually pretty proud of this because I came up with this idea myself. But I think this card can be some pretty sneaky for some sick plays also. Lands are a little bit difficult to evaluate. So could be good, could be bad. You can tell me. We have 2 more great cards becoming even greater cards. Obelisk of Undoing. 1 mana artifact with 6 mana tap. Return target permanent you control and you own to your hand. That's it. Not only do you have to own the permanent, but you have to control the permanent. This card can't even be played in Zidru because you don't control it. This card is just... You know what card is better than this? It's the Obelisk of Doing. A 2 mana artifact with blue tap, return target permanent you own to your hand. It's simple. It's as easy as that. That's all you had to do. I did make it 2 mana so it didn't combo off too easily, but you know, you can Paradox Engine, you can Jeskai Ascendancy, one of my favorite modern decks, Pioneer decks. There's a lot you can do with this, a lot more you can do with this. The final card on our list is probably the most iconic worst card in history from one of the worst sets, Homeland. Apocalypse Chime, a 2 mana artifact with an activated ability of 2 mana tap, sacrifice Apocalypse Chime to bury all cards from the Homeland expansion. This card was so bad that it hated its own set. This has never been done before. This has never been done afterwards. But now that it's blue, ladies and gentlemen, can I introduce you to Midnight 24th of September 2021 Chime, a blue mana artifact with 1 mana tap, sacrifice Midnight 24th of September 2021 Chime. Destroy all non-token permanents with a name originally printed in the Throne of Eldraine expansion. They can't be regenerated! That's right, flip Throne of Eldraine, okay? If we're gonna print a new one, we're gonna print it from the worst set and we're gonna turn it into the best set ever printed. Throne of Eldraine was a mistake, and a lot of these cards were also a mistake. So what do you think? Do you have any more recommendations? Are these cards too overpowered? How would you remake them? I can make more of these if you enjoyed the videos. Please do tell me, show me you enjoyed them by liking, maybe subscribing if you like my content, and end videos are so difficult. I'll see you all in the next. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.